This video is Menopause changed my body and I took my power back. We are going to be talking about menopause, feeling hot, hot, hot. Whew, I am feeling hot. It's really hot. Oh my God, can I tell you how much I hate menopause? The hot flashes, the hot flashes. If I wasn't on screen right now, I'd be ripping off this shirt. Like, okay, this is, anyone can relate right now. You can feel a hot flash coming, and it feels like the devil incarnate. Like it starts like almost at your temples, and it is like someone's about to open an oven on you, and you can't stop it. And all you want to do is shove your face in a freezer. And right before I hopped on this video, I was fine, and like literally right now I could feel a hot flash coming. I am about to just film this video because I'm so mad that I could feel a hot flash coming, and I was ready to film this video, and I have this turtleneck on. I just want to rip it off because I'm so mad that I can feel a hot flash and I'm about to film this video. But it just makes sense that a hot flash. So if I break out in the sweat, y'all know it's because I really can feel a hot flash coming, and this was not planned, but it probably is the perfect timing. So I say, and when I tell you a hot flash will come at the most inopportune time, you're about to walk into an important meeting, an important job interview, you're trying to go to sleep, you just finished a 15-minute shower, like it just comes, it's Satan's cousin. Like it just comes at the worst time, and you can't do anything about it but just let it pass. And it takes about 10 minutes on average for it to pass, but it literally comes in the middle of an ice storm. It'll come just, and the best thing you can do is just breathe and know it will pass. You know what? I don't want this edited out of this video. I am having a hot flash while I'm trying to film a video about how menopause changed my body and I took my power back, and I did. If you had told my 30-year-old self that I'd be leaner, stronger, and more confident in my 50s while I was in menopause, I would have laughed hard. And let me tell you, this journey that I'm in now, because I used to cry when I got hot flashes. I used to break down and sob, like literally real tears cry. And let me tell you, this journey has been anything but easy. But let me tell you, I'm here to tell you menopause is not the end. It's a chance to redefine everything, including laughing. Today, I'm going to share with you exactly how I did just that through mindset, strength, and finally breaking free from diet culture. I'll share my story, and I'm going to break everything down for you: the struggle, the breaking point, and the transformation. Let me start with the struggle, my story. I told you about my 20s when I was 400 pounds and had gastric bypass, and that was many moons ago. I lost over 230 pounds, and of course life was good. You're in your 20s, you are in your new body, and no one can tell you anything. I was that girl, right? And life was good. Little blips, but nothing I couldn't handle. Early 30s, same thing. I was living my best life, and everything came together in my 30s. Career, life, had the man that I wanted, just everything just kind of whew. And then I was diagnosed with Crohn's. Out of nowhere. It's not in my family. No, I had never heard of it. And it just struck me down in my prime. And that was like the tip of everything that kind of just blew my life apart. When I was diagnosed, it took a very long time for the diagnosis to fall through. So picture it, at my basement bottom weight, the lowest weight I got to was 162, and this is in my 20s, 162. I started out tipping the scales at almost at 400, so 162. And at that time I was living in the gym. I had a gym in my house, so I was always into cardio. I was always dieting. I was always watching my weight. I was always into the latest fad, whether it was Atkins or keto or whatever was the latest craze in the news. I was into it. So fast forward, and this is how I knew something weird was going on with my body, or how I knew something was going on that was different. I was coming back from a trip to the Bahamas, and I literally was at the airport. Just something wasn't feeling right in my system. I thought I had food poisoning. And a week passed by. 7 whole days. 7 whole days. I'm not gonna sing for y'all. Don't even worry. I'm not Tony. Not going to sing, but I love that song. So shout out to Tony Braxton. I was on the phone with my cousin, and he said, "Wait, you still don't feel well?" And I said, "No." He said, "You might want to go to a doctor." So I went to, my primary care, and he ran tests, and he was like, "Yeah, he sent me to a specialist. They ran more tests." Very long story short, it took 9-10 months, 4 doctors. I believe I did a video on that, so you can catch the video. At the time, I had put some rebound weight on from after my gastric. So at the time, I had ballooned back up to about 200. I had went from 162 to 200. By the time they diagnosed me with Crohn's, they put me on a biological called Remicade. Then I ended up losing my health insurance. So they put me on, it was like a chemo drug, several chemo drugs just to have me stabilized. Long story short, my hair fell out. It threw me into the chemo drug. One of the side effects is it throws you into perimenopause. And by that time, on the day of my 40th birthday, I was in New York. My hair fell out on my 40th birthday. I remember that. Looking back, I'm now well into my 50s, but looking back now, it was very traumatic when it happened. But at the time, I didn't know what any of that stuff was. But when your body cycle is thrown into all of that, you don't know what your body is doing. And I just knew the physical trauma of it. My body went into such a cycle. The sleeplessness I had already struggled with, but the hot flash, my first hot flash was on a flight. When I tell you embarrassing, I was putting up my luggage in the carry-on section, my carry-on luggage. And when I tell you, I broke out in a sweat. It looked like someone had just thrown a bucket of water on me. And not only that, it was this overwhelming feeling of someone had just opened 5 ovens at once, plus someone throwing a bucket of water on. Like it was that simultaneous feeling of all of that happening at once, and then this other feeling of dread, because I also suffer from panic attacks. So it was just all of that happening at once, and then being on a flight and everyone seeing it. Oh, it was just the word. And then no one preparing you for that, because I didn't know at the time that all of that was happening. And then my weight had ballooned up to 240. And I'm only 5'3", and even though my weight distributes pretty decently on my body, but even on my frame, 240 is pretty, I can feel that. I really just felt out of control. When you're already depriving yourself of food and you're exercising every day and you feel like you're doing everything right, and the scale is just telling you, no, you're not. The optics are looking like you're sitting on the couch and eating Ben and Jerry's all day. It is so frustrating. And then other things are happening to you. You're dealing with the brain fog. You're dealing with the mood swings. You're dealing with other weird things like your ear itches. And I didn't know your ear itching is a menopause. Who knew? Because I would be in there with the ear. I had no idea that Your ear itching is a menopausal sign. That's menopause just really, really sucks. Let me just say that for the record. So anyone who tells you, oh, they're lying. Everything just went on and on. It was elevated, and then things just really got out of control. Like my clothes started not fitting. I was doing more cardio, that wasn't working. I started getting cravings, that wasn't working. And by this time, I'm creeping into my 40s, and things are just getting worse. And I have this like kind of like a bloated look to my face, and I'm coming back down. So I've managed it somehow, but everyone's, oh, you look good, but it's you can see yourself in the mirror. At one point, I'd gone through this breaking out phase in my skin, and I was able to get that together, but it was just so much work to do it. And I was like, there's gotta be a better way, because I'm spending a lot of money to go to specialists, to take care of my skin, to do this, to that. And I was, there's something, it just feels like I'm doing something wrong. And then after the panini, because like I said, I don't know what we can say on YouTube now, so I don't call it, y'all know what I mean by the panini. After the panini, and we were all just, bound, that's when you had to kind of reflect and reevaluate everything, and that's when things started to shift. And that's when I started making changes. First thing that was really weird, and the people who know me, and you can see it in pictures, I started doing my own things for my hair. My hair literally went from shoulder length went to like literally above my shoulders to past my shoulders in record time. And I have been trying to do that for 5 years. And it did it in less than a year. And another thing that changed is after the panini, I stopped drinking. It was a mind shift after, and I have a video on that. It was a mind shift after a conversation with my mother. May she forever rest in peace. Another thing that I finally came to terms with was my relationship with food. I love food. I love it. And I realized that I was tired of fighting with food, and it was time for me to see food in a different perspective. I had a paradigm shift with food. I see food now as nourishment for my body. I don't see food as a pastime. I don't see food as something that I do out of boredom. Food is something that I sit down and I mindfully do because it realistically charges my body. There was a time when I was so deep in the throes of depression that I would eat my meals in bed, breakfast, lunch, and dinner. I would eat all 3 meals in the bed. I would work in bed. And I had everything set up, like work, eat, and I had people enabling me. And I did this when I was obese, and I did this when I wasn't. Like I did this, I had someone that I was with, and I did this when I was in my 40s. And looking back, that was part of me climbing into the 200s and so forth. It's hard to break out of that mind shift. I'm not here to tell you that menopause is not a tough challenge. It's tough physically, and it's tough emotionally, and it's tough psychologically. And the toughest part psychologically to deal with is sometimes you're looking at the same eyes that you've been looking at since you came into this world, and we're ageless. So when your body is trying to remind you, well, no, you're not, it's like, how dare you? How dare you? So I told you about the struggle. That was my before story. I told you the breaking point. That was when everything changed. Now I'm about to tell you the transformation. That is my now story. My biggest game changer was strength training. My Ageless fam, when I tell you that is really the key to youth, strength training, I'm telling you, that really changed my life. There is no diet on the planet that can really take the place of what strength training will do for your body. And you don't really even have to do a lot. I do it 3 times a week, and I've only been doing it now for a couple of years, and I'm amazed at how it really has transformed my body. I was doing cardio. I've been doing cardio for 20 years now, more than 20 years. It's not the same. My body doesn't even look the same. My clothes fit so much better. Giving up alcohol really changed the game. I'm playing chess now. I didn't realize the money I'm saving. I really did not see the mental gymnastics that I was playing with alcohol. You really are numbing something when you are drinking to excess. And I'm not a therapist, and I'm not trying to be anyone's therapist. If you're drinking to excess every day, I highly recommend to seek help from somewhere, because there is something psychologically connected to doing that. I did a video on my story. Hopefully it can help someone make that connection and seek the help. So with that said, with making those changes, I gave up diets. I do not believe in diets. I think diets are the biggest scam. I think they are the biggest scam. And so now I am a huge fan of intermittent fasting, doing it mindfully, making sure, of course, you have your doctor's approval. Please don't do it just all willy-nilly because you've watched anyone's video, including mine, and you have not gotten your doctor's approval, especially if you have an underlying medical condition. So please don't do that. Once I incorporated intermittent fasting into my routine, and believe me, I'm one of those people, I will jump into something, do too much of it, and that's what happened to me. When I first did it, I started doing it back during the panini days, and did too much of it along with cardio, and guess what happened? And this is a caveat, not to do anything too much. I slowed down my metabolism. So like I said, don't do anything too much. I even have a link in my bio that you can download, the 6 things to be ageless anytime, so you can find the link in my bio. And the number one thing, always eat protein first. That counts for vegetarians too, protein. It does not have to be animal protein. But with that said, with all those changes I made, remember when I initially said in this video that my baseline weight when I first had the surgery during my 20s and 30s was 185, and then it dropped to 165. Well, now my baseline weight in my 50s is 135 to 140. And if you had told me in my 20s, when I was almost 400 pounds, I would have told you, no, I would have been too small. I would have told you that. And then 2, if you told me in my 30s that I would have gotten down to 135, I would have told you, what are you smoking? If you told me in my 40s while I was 162 that I would have gone down to this weight, I would have told you, how? And now that I'm in my 50s, I still don't believe it. And the fact that I'm here and have maintained it for nearly 2 years, and I'm doing it, literally eating whatever I want, whenever I want, I just have to share my story. Even if it touches one person. If you like what you've heard so far, please don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. And if you have, and for those who have subscribed, thank you. Thank you so much. I appreciate all the support. Thank you. And if you're in menopause or heading into it, please hear me. You're not broken, okay? You're powerful, and you get to redefine this season on your terms. Tell me in the comments, what's been your biggest struggle during menopause? Let's talk about it.